Welcome to the Autistic Mile. I'm your host, Jim Gaffney. As usual, I'm joined by my co-host and son, Shane Gaffney. Shane, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. You?
I'm doing well, thanks. So you've had a pretty busy week. Your birthday was this week. How did that go? You had a good
Went pretty
birthday?
well. Managed to get some of the games I was looking forward to, which we're actually going to be talking about a website we made relating to those, and generally had a good time, pretty much.
That's good. Well, I think you're keeping busy. I think the Autistic Mile and some of the things you're doing on the podcast are keeping you pretty busy. Um, One of the things we want to talk about today, as we're still in the early stages of the Autistic Mile podcast, and some of the, I won't call them side projects, but the episodes that we're producing, or you're specifically producing on your own, which is The Idealist. Uh, One of the things that when we talk about employment for autistic adults and training for autistic adults, this is really what it's all about. On the job training, using skills that you already have. You're very adept at technology, and you learn very quickly. So, you know, for most of us, but specifically for those on the spectrum, a career is about more than a paycheck. There's a lot more that comes out of a job or a career than just simply getting paid. It gives us higher purpose. It helps your self-esteem. You're contributing something bigger than yourself. Tell me, as we've gone through these first couple months with the podcast, and you're diving in more and more. Tell me your initial thoughts. How do you feel about what you've been able to accomplish so far on the podcast and the work that you're doing?
Well, I do appreciate that I've been able to take my passions and put them into something that, well, could be productive, quote unquote. And I'm also definitely liking that I can put my own spin on things and really let my own creativity flourish, so to speak. Just
Yeah.
generally putting myself out there and allowing myself to what I enjoy as hobbies and passions, and being able to share that with the world.
No, I think that's a good point. Creativity is one of the most meaningful assets that any person will have, but even for those of us on the spectrum, that creativity is something that we gravitate to. It's something in most cases it comes to us naturally. It's a question of how we're going to portray that, how we're going to put it to good use. So the podcast and the episodes and some of the work you're doing allows you to bring that creativity and shows what you're able to accomplish with that. You have a very obviously there's a big age difference between us, obviously. So your perspective is very different than mine. Your thought process is different than mine. You create differently than me. And that is good because some of the things I create are different than some of the things you create. And I think that's good for our audience because the perspective that you bring to the podcast and some of the creativity that you display is something that is going to serve us well going forward. Tell us a little bit about your Idealist episodes that you've been producing. I think you have the trailer, and then I think you just published your third episode yesterday. Tell me a little bit more about the Idealist and what you want people to walk away from. What do you want their impression to be of the Idealist?
Well, as I imagine some of our viewers know, The Idealist is about me talking about various characters and media that I like and that I resonate with, and how I relate to that in a way that can often touch on my experiences as an individual with autism tangentially. And I often like to think of it as a way to allow people to really see what an autistic person, well, in in this case, me, not necessarily every autistic individual, but allowing people who aren't on the spectrum to really see what kind of things do we think about? What kind of things do we gravitate towards? Like, what are our likes, dislikes? What sort of things will help someone who maybe wants to connect with someone who is on the spectrum? What would be a good starting point in terms of how to initiate conversation or bond with them?
No, that's a good point. We talk about communication being such an important component for human beings, for adults like yourself. Communication is one of the ways that we grow. It's how we learn, and our ability to communicate, but not only to communicate with others, but have them communicate with us. I think for some people on the spectrum, I think maybe maybe we could feel sometimes that people aren't communicating with us enough, or they're not communicating with us properly in terms of the way that we're expecting it. Not that it's not proper, but in a way that's conducive to us, a way that we can have that meaningful dialogue. So I applaud you for sharing some of the thoughts that you have, because that allows other people to understand your thought process and understand there's more behind autism. I think people with autism get painted with a broad brush sometimes, where people may want to tend to shy away from conversation because maybe it's uncomfortable for them. I mean, we have to be realistic. Having communications with an autistic individual, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. So, we have to understand that about people that are not on the spectrum. We have to understand that ourselves as autistic individuals, that it may be not, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it may be unnatural for them. They're used to interacting with their peers who are most likely not autistic. So some of the challenges we face in communicating, they may face in communicating with us, because they don't understand how we work. So being able to share that perspective allows them to see what that thought process is, and to see that there's more behind the mask than just so it's somebody that wants to communicate, it's somebody who wants to have dialogue, it's somebody that wants friendship. It's not that we don't want those things; they just don't come easily for us. So I give you a lot of credit for sharing your thoughts on that, because it's not easy to open up. Sometimes we open up and we feel foolish afterwards because we feel like we haven't received in return what we were hoping to get out of the experience. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying. Communication is always a work in progress, and that's something hopefully you'll keep in mind going forward, that even failed communication sometimes can teach us better ways forward. Tell me a little bit. I mean, since you've been working on the podcast, some days I know for myself, when I get up in the morning, if I have something that I'm passionate about, something I look forward to, it's much easier. I don't necessarily need the motivation. It's easier every morning to get up out of bed, knowing that you have something meaningful and something you enjoy doing during the day. Tell me your thoughts on that. You feel the same way?
I would say that usually it's nice to know that I have something to look forward to on a given day that I can look forward to doing. It does help with motivation, and in terms of having a positive outlook on the day ahead. Though usually with
Yeah.
me, it's less immediate. Usually I need time to just sort of integrate into the day, if that makes any sense. Just
Yeah,
everything
I
has
understand.
its own sort of schedule for me. So usually I have to just take things gradually and let them naturally come to pass, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, it does. wheels turn a little different. So usually before I get up in the morning, I'm already thinking 10 steps ahead, what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to line things up so that I know what I'm going to be doing, the most efficient order in which to do them. There's certain things you do during the day. It makes sense to do task 1 first and task 5. There's a way that they should be scheduled and the way that you carry them out. So before I usually get out of bed in the morning, I'm already if I haven't thought about it the night before, I'm thinking about that before I even get up. So, but it's always, for me, it's always easier getting up knowing that I'm going to do something I love or something I'm good at, something I'm passionate about. And I hope the Autistic Mile gives you that sense, gives you that spark, so to speak, so that you have that. Because it's important, like I said, for your self-esteem. It's important for your mental health to know that you're being productive and that you have something where you feel like you're contributing and that you're an equal. For a lot of us, we want to be equal. I think that's important. Okay. Well, that brings me to the next point. Everybody wants to feel needed. We want to be somewhere where we feel like we're having a positive impact. We feel like we're helping others. We always want to do what's best for ourselves. But, I've said before, autistic people by nature are people pleasers. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't think you can mean that in a bad way. By people pleasers, we want to do a good job. We want people to think the most of us, and it's to a level that it exceeds what normal people, everybody, of course you want somebody to like you. You want them to be satisfied with the work you're doing. But for us, it takes on another challenge because, we're really trying to fit in every day. So positive reinforcement and the things that we take on and the satisfaction we get from that go a long way. And not only helps today, but it helps the next day and helps the next day. And you can kind of build on that. It's you build a foundation, you just keep building. So we all want to feel needed. And I think, from my perspective, we're trying to, find new ways for you to contribute, not just to the podcast itself, but, in sharing other things online. You have a new project, Level Up with Shane. Tell me a little bit about Level Up with Shane.
Well, it's a website that we freshly made today, which is about various games that I bought and am either currently playing or am gonna play or have already beaten, and just sharing some of my general thoughts on them, what I think of them as gameplay, in story, stuff like that.
Right. So in addition to sharing your thoughts during the podcast, you're able to take your gaming experience to another level and share specific thoughts on games and experiences, characters, bosses, and you're able to provide that feedback so others can see it and you're trying to enrich the lives of others through something you're passionate about. So Level Up with Shane, yeah, it's a new page on our website, autisticmile.com. Level Up with Shane is under the Mile Marketplace that we call it. That's where we have all our goodies. That's our commerce hub, if you will. It has our branded apparel. It has our music there. It has books. It has affiliate products and things, products that we use and endorse. So the Mile Marketplace is that commerce hub where that all happens. So today we added Level Up with Shane, which is it has information about games you've played, are playing or will play, so that you can provide that to people who are interested. And again, that's finding, as we continue with the podcast, we're looking for ways for you to contribute to show your creative side and to show show what your abilities are, and one of those is gaming. And I think it's great that you're able and that really builds on the idealist, because you're talking in the idealist episode, you're talking about gaming, you're talking about characters, and I like the way that you go into depth and you talk about not just the characters themselves, but how you think of them, how they may the impact they may have on you personally, whether it's their flaws or their or some of the positives that you draw from those characters. Um, you know, so you're building on that with Level Up with Shane. You're providing feedback on these games. You're bringing it up a notch. You're not just talking character specific. Now you're talking about gaming experience. You're talking about gameplay and the whole. You're bringing it to another level. So I think that's good. But again, it's all about doing, being part of something that you're passionate about. And again, the fact that, that these, not only the idealist episodes, but Level Up with Shane, the web page, those are specific to you. So, when I talk about everybody wanting to be needed, you're needed in those areas. And these are opportunities that we're looking for to allow you to to allow your creativity to flourish naturally in a way that it's your creativity, it's not mine. That you're taking something you're passionate about and you're extending it to our audience. Uh, um, uh, Tell me a little bit about the most recent game, whatever your most recent game. Tell me about something that you want to put on Level Up with Shane. Maybe I don't know about already.
Well, it's actually a mobile game that I'm playing called Honkai Star Rail. It's for free, but it has a lot of storage space, so it's not something you could just download willy-nilly. And that's why I needed to wait for a new phone in order to actually play it. But it's not so much the game itself that I was interested in. It's more a very specific part of the game that I was drawn to, which happens to be an arc in the game, if you want to use that terminology, called Penacony, which is a sort of one of the planets you can visit in the game. Each planet has its own different story and characters and whatnot. And this one specifically is the one that I found very special and that I wanted to prioritize getting to and playing through, because it's one that resonates with me on a very personal level, and it's one that has my favorite character in the game, which is Sunday. Yes, that's his name, which I'll be talking about him at some point on my podcast. I have that planned out.
Okay, yeah, don't give too many hints away. We gotta. But I think it's great what you're doing. I like that we're able to continue to build these elements so that you have those elements. We do our podcast together, but you're able to do these solo projects, if you will, that are really yours to own and expand as time goes on. One of the quotes I saw, which really resonated with me, it says, "One of the greatest gifts an employer can give isn't simply a job; it's letting someone know that they're important." And I think that sentiment goes a long way to what we're trying to do here. You know, as an employee of Autistic Mile Productions, uh, which is our company that produces the Autistic Mile. It's the umbrella under which the Autistic Mile sits, and everything else that we do. As an employee of Autistic Mile Productions, you're a valuable asset, and that's something we want to again build upon going forward with other autistic adults. You're really the model for that. So the steps that you're taking in these early days to show our audience, be a little vulnerable and show them what you're capable of. That's going to resonate with people. And we want to build upon that with other individuals as the Autistic Mile continues to grow. Our vision is to bring other autistic individuals into the fold as employees, and again let them have them bring their creativity to Autistic Mile Productions so that we can continue to expand what we're doing and utilize their unique skill sets because it is unique. You know, some people are creative, some people are not. Creativity for an autistic adult is, I think, it's always a little bit more elevated because it's something we gravitate to. It's something that comes natural to us. Again, it's something, you're really, you're the model. You're patient zero if we're talking about, if we're putting it in that terms, you know, it's not an experiment. It's this, well, it is an experiment, but it's a working experiment. So, we've, you're the first test case and it works very well. And we're going to continue to do that. We talked about the episodes and we talked about Level Up with Shane. Tell us some of your other job responsibilities as you have them right now, even just some of the ones that you think are more insignificant as far as creativity. Tell us about some of your other responsibilities that you're performing right now for the Autistic Mile.
Well, I would say that the other responsibilities that I do is sometimes I had my opinion on if there's something that needs to be reviewed, something we need to look through for quality assurance. And with my episodes, like often I handle them almost exclusively on my own. There is, of course, oversight. There is parts where you pitch in, it's parts where you look over everything just to make sure that it's all up to our standards. But generally speaking, they're mostly just the stuff that I do on my own, the editing and the recording, and even making backgrounds, which I definitely enjoy quite a lot.
Yeah, no, it's all part of it. If you had to choose one thing, what's your favorite thing that you're doing right now for Autistic Mile Productions?
Well, definitely the idealist in general, but making the thumbnails for each episode is probably one of my favorite parts because it's something that can be done in like just a few minutes, and it allows you to like show your understanding of the game or the character in portraying that thumbnail because each thumbnail I make is related to the story around them in some way, be it obvious or not. So,
Okay, no, that's good. Um, what's the task that you find most challenging so far that you're doing?
well, I would say that it's probably juggling the various responsibilities that I sometimes have. Like, I often like to plan ahead to make sure that I do this day, I do this the other day. And sometimes something just happens that kind of just throws a wrench into the whole thing, and I have to adapt on the fly in order to make sure everything gets done at the time I want it to get done. But so far, like, I've been able to more or less uh, keep that under control.
Yeah, well, I think that juggling, we all have times where things happen where we have to adjust, and I think your ability to adjust is I give you credit for that, and it's a skill that you'll have to continue to develop. Sometimes the world doesn't always work on our clock. Sometimes things happen and we have to adapt. That adaptability is important for each of us. So that is something that should continue to focus on because it will serve you well. I find it difficult when things get changed around, but it can be uncomfortable for us. But in the end, we have to learn how to. It's one of the things we have to manage. We talk about our autism toolbox and the tools that we have, the tools that we've built up, and how we navigate the world around us. That is one of the tools that you'll have in your toolbox. You already have it, and you're refining it. So that's an important thing going forward to understand that these things are going to happen and then respond to them properly. So that's it's important. It's an important piece of learning curve. So like I say, don't shy away from it, lean into it, and it's something you'll continue to get better at, and it will. Some days it'll bother you more than others, but just it's an important part of anybody's daily schedule. Not everything goes according to plan every day, so just keep that in mind. If you had one lesson or one thing you had that you've learned since joining the podcast and starting to do this work, what's one of the things you learned along the way in these past few months?
I would say that it's probably just to take it easy on yourself in terms of if things don't quite pan out perfectly, because sometimes you have an idea in your head of how everything is going to look, how everything is going to sound. And sometimes, like, it's a matter of execution that it doesn't quite pan out the way you hoped. But just because it didn't happen perfectly doesn't mean that it doesn't have value or that other people won't like it. Sometimes you
Right.
just have
Well,
to be willing to give yourself a chance and not really beat yourself up if things didn't happen just the way you were hoping they would.
yeah. Well, I think the inclusion, you know, as as your father, as an older adult, I know that adults and parents, we tend to project ourselves onto our children. We, whether our children are autistic or not, we tend to project ourselves onto them. So we may project what we want them to be or what we hope for them to be. I know as time goes on, as I get older, I understand the importance uh, of accepting somebody for who they are. Uh, you can't you can't make somebody into something else, and that for myself, that was never my intention. Uh, but understanding that we each have our limitations. There's only so much that each one of us is capable of on any given day. Um, at the end of the day, we are who we are. It's important for parents to understand the importance of letting our children be who they are. Uh, and understanding what their capabilities are, knowing they have limitations. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Adults don't like to admit that, but we all do. I have my own weaknesses. And as far as the podcast goes and maybe the presentation, I think you're speaking about, neither one of us are the next Joe Rogan. Listen, we didn't, we're not, we didn't start this podcast because we were such good talkers, we're so smooth or so good looking, that it just came natural to us. We have a message we want to convey, and we want to convey that message authentically. So at the end of the day, my style is my style. It's who I am. Your style is your style. It's who you are. It's authentic. And I'll take that any day over the week over the smoothest talking podcast hosts out there. And it's nothing against them. Everybody has their own style. At the end of the day, you got to be yourself. Uh, like I said before, don't shy away from that. Lean into it. Just no, you are yourself, and just the world will accept that. You're good. You're a good guy. So just keep working hard at it. Uh, and it'll come. It's coming already. I can see from your first episode to this, I can see you get more comfortable as we go on week by week. I get a little more comfortable. So, it's a process when you jump into this with little experience. I want to talk about is confidence growing through success. Tell me about something that you're doing now that you didn't think you'd be able to do a year ago.
I would say, in terms of that, the thing that I would not be sure about being able to do would be, I guess, sort of improv or doing these sorts of talks on the fly. But really, in talks like this on streams with you, it really seems straightforward somehow. Just say what you're thinking, and really, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's again, it's all as we continue to go through this, we're communicating each time we do this. So even though we're doing a podcast, you and I are communicating. We're communicating with our audience. So again, we're always honing that skill. It's a skill that it's a tool in our toolbox that just gets better with time. Anything gets better with practice. So each time we have these conversations and we dive into different subjects, it gives you more opportunity to hone those skills. What's something you feel like you've improved at the most, maybe over the last year, just as you've been doing the podcast? What's the thing? What do you think you've improved at the most?
Really putting images into videos, like, because a lot of the time I wasn't sure where to put images because I make elaborate backgrounds, and so it's never immediately obvious, like, where something should fit if you were to put something else into the video. But now I have a better judgment of like what makes sense to put where.
Yeah, I think, and that's something you continue to get better at, as will I. It's subjective. So it's, when I look at something, sometimes it seems should I cut that or should I not, or should I insert something here? So the production piece is, when you're working with raw footage and you're trying to turn it into your masterpiece, everybody's got their own way of doing it, but, I'm glad to hear you're getting more confident with that because, it's something you're going to be doing a lot more of. Um, have you surprised yourself at all? Over the course of what we've been doing here at the Autistic Mile. Have you surprised yourself in any way with what you're doing or how well you're doing it?
I would say yes. Like, at first, this was something that I imagined was just going to be like a job, like something that you do, but like it's strictly professional. But now I'm feeling like it actually is something that I can look forward to some degree, something that I can actually see as kind of a part of my weekly routine.
It's good. It's you want to be part of something. Confidence doesn't usually come from opportunity. Opportunity creates confidence. So when you have the opportunity to do something, you start doing it and you get better at it, and you see that progression as something that helps your confidence and it helps you continue moving forward. Like I said before, there's nothing more important. We work all our lives to do something that you're not good at or maybe that you don't like. That's a long road to run. It's much easier when you get up each morning and you enjoy what you're doing. And that was one of the things we wanted to achieve with the podcast. It's one of the things that, from a technology perspective, from a creative perspective, it checked all the boxes for both you and I. That is something that, even though we had no experience with it, it's something that we knew we were capable of, and we're both growing. This is not, and we're growing in tandem. We're both doing things with Autistic Mile Productions, and each day we're both taking strides forward towards some of our goals. So you're not the only one that's learning new skills or developing existing skills and making them better. So it's an important part of what we do here, but it's um, as I said, it was important to find something that fit for you, fit for me, and I feel that what we're doing here, and the information we'll be able to bring to our audience is going to be something that's worth it, and something that we can have a positive effect. There's nothing more important than the positivity of the messages that we're conveying, regardless of the topic. Not every subject we discuss is going to be roses and sunshine, but, every cloud has a silver lining. So, we want to try to accentuate the positive, knowing that there's some negative out there in certain subjects, and we'll deal with that appropriately. But, autism is something, it's like anything else. if you have a good attitude, if you have proper perspective, and you learn to put in the work, it's just something that, it's not what I call life sentence. People that live with autism, although there's, like I said, there's, this, from one end of the spectrum to the other is a big range. So, the quality of life for myself on the spectrum and you on the spectrum is different for somebody else. So, we have to do our best with what we have, and, going out each day and putting our best foot forward is an important part of that. And I think, our mission here and our messaging and the goals we want to achieve for, vocational training and employment for autistic adults, this gives us the ability to do that. So, uh, so by putting ourselves out there and learning these skills and developing these skills, is something that, it really is so important to us, and it's important to the autistic community because, there's a lot of voices out there. Everybody, these days, there's a lot of people with podcasts. There's a lot of autism related podcasts. Maybe not enough. I think it's an underserved, community. So hopefully we can bring, our unique perspective there and, provide people with, some more information. We're going to have some, guest interviews in the coming weeks. So those, we're looking to schedule those. As much as I enjoy talking to you and having our two-man podcast here, our podcast team here, having some other individuals, the ones we're speaking about now are, industry professionals. Some of them may be authors. So, we are looking to schedule, more interviews, and that's something that's we're going to develop those skills. So we'll have more interviews coming up soon. So as you continue to roll out the idealists, and you work on Level Up with Shane, and we're doing our weekly podcasts, we've got a lot of sticks in the fire, as they say, and we're moving full speed ahead. And hopefully our audience, the content we're putting out is resonating with our audience. All right. Well, I think it was, another good week. Glad to see you're enjoying your work here. Happy birthday again. We celebrated your birthday the other day, but again, happy birthday. Hope you enjoy your new game, and the one I think is coming out in September. It's a long time to wait for a game, but it's not available. It's not available. It's pre-order. So enjoy your new game. Look forward to seeing your review on Level Up with Shane. I'll be reading that, and we'll be putting that out to our audience, not only on on the podcast and some shorts, but also our community page and on YouTube. So people will be able to see it there as well. So, all right.
All right.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Another episode of the Autistic Mile in the books. Hope you guys have a great week. Take care, everyone.
Born to this world with broken wings, beautiful birds unable to sing. Hope seemed distant in those early days, but family and faith would find their way. Strength grows steady in the face of a storm. Love takes hold in a soul reborn. Quiet heartache burns a steady flame. The ultimate promise turns loss into gain. Never know you're lost until you get found. We run out of time and run out of ground. Storms come and go as we search for peace. Something always missing, just out of reach. A map once new, now faded with age. A soul lays bare on a lonely stage. We write the book and live every page. Someday they'll know that we passed this way. We played this game the best we could. Thought of as different instead of as good. Every day a struggle with truth unspoken. Each one a footprint on the trail of the broken. Never walk this road alone. With each new has grown. Winning the fight with blessings we find, moments and memories, the ties that bind. Through the tempest, hope lights the way. Fragile steps turn to strength each day. Love writes our truth in the footnotes of time, the struggle and journey of life divine. Somewhere between lost and found, we made our way to solid ground. Lessons learned would be our guide. We'd show the world how not to hide. Families once lost, now empowered. Humanity shines in its finest hour. Each day offers chances and lessons to learn. A place in heaven is something we earn. We've walked this road with family and friends, with compassion and love at every bend. We carry each other through difficult miles, winning the fight over endless trials. Never know you're lost until you get found. We run out of time and run out of ground. Storms come and go as we search for peace. Something always missing, just out of reach. A map once new, now faded with age. A soul lays bare on a lonely stage. We write the book and live every page. Someday they'll know that we passed this way. We played this game the best we could, thought of as different instead of as good. Every day a struggle with truth unspoken, each one a footprint